What's going on, guys? I had 5 more sales I'm going to talk about, so let's get right into it. First up, we have a Yule Trooper PSA 9 going for $124. Now, in my opinion, this is it's an okay buy. I think it's a fair price for him in a PSA 9. I remember when this would have gone for like $400, like $500. Obviously, people found out he's not worth that because he's not Skull Trooper. He's Yule Trooper. And no one likes Yule Trooper, unlike how many people like Skull Trooper. So, obviously, there's a big difference between those two, and people are pricing Yule Trooper like he was Skull Trooper. But, like I said, we've obviously figured out he's not, and he's nowhere near as good. And like I said, he's still a Skull Trooper variant, and I think he'll still carry a little bit of value, but not too much. Like, this is fair for him right now. This is like what the above average PSA 9 Cracked Ice from Series 2 goes for, and he's just slightly above average. So I think this was a decent buy. I think there's definitely room to grow off this price, but not as much as people were hoping when he first came out. But I still think this was a good buy, and I think the seller got a pretty fair price for it. Next, we have a Remedy PSA 9 Cracked Ice USA print for $43. I think someone did pretty well here. Good condition, Cracked Ice. Series 3 is almost as rare as Series 1 probably. And a PSA 9 for $43, my opinion, is a good buy. Remedy, she's actually kind of used. She's not a sweat skin. I mean, like, most of the time you run into her, she's going to be good. Like, the player's going to be pretty good. But it's like, she's not a very sweaty skin. She's more kind of just your average skin you see every once in a while. But it's a good-looking skin in game. And she's part of the team that first discovered the Chapter 2 island. Like, if you remember, there was 8-Ball, there was Sludge. I mean, there was Ripley, who became Sludge, but there was 8-Ball. There was Ripley. There was Turk. There was Journey, Remedy, Fusion. I know this is sad that I can name all this off the top of my head, and it's not on this piece of paper that just has the card and the prices on it. But I just realized how sad that is that I can name that off on a row like that. But back to the card, Remedy PSN for $43. I think there's a chance for some storyline because all those skins from that Battle Pass that discovered the Chapter 2 island all had those edit styles. Like, it was Turk versus Riptide was his edit style, almost like their alter egos. 8-Ball versus Scratch. Sludge versus... It was Ripley versus Sludge and Remedy versus Toxin. Journey versus Hazard. So, all those skins like that, I think there's a potential for storyline. I think every single one of them is in Series 2. So, I think that'd be a cool set to complete. Get all the, the Journey versus Hazard, the Remedy versus Toxin, Ripley versus Sludge, and 8-Ball versus Scratch. I know I completely went off topic on this. I have to say this again. Let's get back to the actual Remedy card. I think because she was part of that show-off storyline, and I think if you have the pair Remedy and Toxin together in cards, like I said, I think that's a good pairing. I think there's room to grow off this $43, and I think that's a pretty good buy. Next, we have a Slumber PSA 9 Cracked Ice for $76. Who? Why? No chance for storyline. No in-game use. No one likes this skin, but like 3 people probably. Who paid for this? Like, I think the Remedy and Slumber prices should be flipped. I mean, Slumber? Why? What upside does someone see in a Slumber card? I don't get why, unless it's a set collector who needs this for their set, I do not understand why you'd want Slumber. There's no appeal behind it for investment standpoint. I get it if it's PC. I mean, I PC Moisty Merman. No one likes him but me. It's like Slumber. There's going to be people, like 3 or 4 people out there that like him. But currently in the card market, there's no room to grow off this $76 for a very long time, in my opinion. I think it's a pretty bad buy overall. There's nothing to talk about for Slumber other than how bad this buy was because he has nothing to talk about. Next, we have a Codename Elf Crystal Shard. Buy it now, $300 or best offer. So I'm going to talk about what I think this card went for and what would be a good range to purchase this card at. So Codename Elf was, I don't know, Lachlan, the Australian Fortnite YouTuber. He used to use this skin, but before he got his icon skin, I think, so 300 is obviously way too high for him in the current market. 2 years ago, that would have been a decent price, but right now, way too high. So if we're thinking about how much this would have sold for, anywhere between 125 and 200, in my opinion. Now, I think 200 is more than it's worth, and I don't think you should pay 200 for this card. I think anywhere between 125 and say 175 is a good buy, in my opinion. Right in there, that's a good spot to be purchasing this card at, because I think there's a lot of room to grow for Codename Elf. Jonesy, obviously, OG, Winter Skin, Christmas Skin, and obviously Lachlan had a huge following, and he might even want this card because he collects Pokemon cards. There might be a day where it comes around and he actually wants this card. So, and obviously we know there's going to be hard to find. A lot of these shards are getting into strong hands. So if these are hard to find, maybe there's room to grow. He'll put, like you see with like the Luca Black Prism 101, maybe someone like him would put a bounty on it. Obviously not that big, but maybe, like a couple grand someday in like 5-10 years. So I think there's a lot of room to grow for Codename Elf. I think there's a lot of potential. And there's people that even use the skin because they saw their favorite YouTuber using it. It's like people started using Crystal because Booga wore it, People started using Manic because Scoped and Cypher PK wore it, mainly Scoped in the beginning, and then Cypher PK also helped with that. There's people that use Manic just because of that. So there's going to be people that want these skins, these cards of the skins that YouTubers made. Raptor for C-Day, Arctic Assassin for Fearless. All those YouTubers that used like a main specific skin, people are going to want those. And I think 125 to 175 is a good price for Codename Elf, and I think anything above that, if you're getting between 175 and 200, you're overpaying, but it's not a bad buy. And if it's for over 200, you're just getting, you're paying way too much. Next, we have a Munitions Major Crystal Shard for $128. Now, I wanted this one. My max bid was 106, and I was like, yeah, there's no way. Who's going to pay more than that for a Munitions Major? As I was saying, I was bidding on that Munitions Major Crystal Shard. My max bid was 106. But obviously someone saw the potential because I saw how clean it was. It was very clean. And I think there's a lot of good potential for this card to get a PSA 10. It looked flawless, like I was saying. And in a PSA 10, you're probably 3-4x in your money, maybe even 5 or 6x in your money, depending on if someone needs it for their set or not, and how low Poppy is. I don't check Munitions Major Pop all the time. But I'm not trying to take that risk and pay this. And I don't think it's a smart, I don't think it's a safe move to pay high for a card like this. And then you only break even after you grade it. If it gets a 9, and if at an 8, you're probably losing money after grading cost and shipping cost and everything like that. So I think it was a good buy, but it was a risky one. If it doesn't get that 10, you're losing money. But I think there's a good chance you get that 10 and you make a lot of money. So I think it was a smart buy, but a risky one at the same time. So I'm going to say it's a good buy. So that's 5 sales I'm talking about for today. I'll see you guys next time.